Hi, welcome back to my channel. I'm Brianne, and today I am going to talk about a series of things that are not often thought about but are supremely important if you want to be a successful actor or writer. Number one, you need a dedicated professional email address. Now, it can be simply your name. It doesn't matter what server it is, but you do need an email that you not only frequently check, but also has a professional name, preferably your name. Because oftentimes, a lot of the communication that you get as an actor will come through email. A lot of the important documents that you'll receive, instructions and call times will be sent through the email. So it's very important that you have those things. In addition to that, when you sign up for casting websites and such, you often get alerts in your email. And so this would be a great all-in-one place to accumulate all of those things and put them in folders according to what they are. That's very, very vital, and a lot of people underestimate how important that is. Number two, I just want you to imagine for a moment that you are called in. Let's say that it's not even a major role, but let's imagine that you're perhaps an extra in a movie and you get your call time and you arrive on set, and the casting director has someone there to verify your documents for work. When you are an actor, again, being hired makes it an actual job, right? So therefore you have to show that you are legally able to work in this country. And so with that said, you'll need to provide your documents. Now imagine showing up on the site and you think that you're just going to check in and then boom, you're working. No, you actually have to have the legal documents to prove you're authorized to work here in the US. So for instance, one of those things would be your ID, meaning your driver's license or your state ID, or if you have a real ID or whatever the case. Your social security number, your birth certificate, things like that. And there is an actual list that when you are hired, they should send you to tell you what items are needed in order to work or to prove that you have authorization to work, and also to verify your identity. So now let's go to number three. Now, most of us who work jobs other than acting jobs, we have direct deposit for the way that we are paid. But in the acting world, that's not 100% guaranteed that you'll have direct deposit. As a matter of fact, most companies don't pay you directly. Like for instance, when you go on a movie set, the director's not going to hand you a check and say, here's your pay for the day. Instead, they go through a service that manages their payment for their cast members and their crew and etc. So with that said, you will need a valid mailing address in order to receive your check in the mail. Now, this is important, and to some people it may seem like a no-brainer, but unfortunately we have people who don't have permanent or stable living conditions. And so you need to think ahead of time. If you're someone in that situation, where do you want your check sent? Now, in some cases, it could be as simple as setting up a P.O. box. Maybe you have a P.O. box with the physical address and your checks can be mailed there. And that would be a great solution for you. But whatever the case, that's something that you need to set up ahead of time, because most of the checks that I've received as an actress have been mailed to me. And that may come as a surprise to a lot of people. So if you're a beginning actor, think about that. Now, the next thing I want you to do is imagine you do land a huge role. Imagine you're on set as an extra and the director still hasn't finished casting an upcoming part for this production, and you happen to fit the bill. But the caveat is that the next part of filming takes place in the Bahamas. Do you have your passport? Not only do you need the proper identification to fly domestically in the United States, but to leave the country, you need a passport. And so that may not be something that you want right now, but it's definitely something that you should prepare for if you plan on taking on heavier roles, because sometimes they are on location out of country. As a matter of fact, a lot of shows film in Canada, And so you want to be prepared for a situation like that. So that's something to begin to think about. Now, if you well, so far what you need that I'm telling you is you do need a form of identification to verify who you are. You need to make sure that you're able to fly, and then you also need to make sure that you have an address for your checks to be mailed as an actor. Now let's go on to the next part. Now I've written these things down, so I'm just going to go through my list. Okay, so now for those occasions when you are going to be direct deposited your payment, you do want to have a bank account. And not only a bank account, but you need to have ready your bank account number and your routing number so that if there is a process online for you to set up your direct deposit, you can do so with ease. These are things that would prohibit you from starting work because some of these things have to be put in place before filming begins to make sure that everything is processed and organized well. And then lastly, are you prepared to travel? And by that, I don't mean just with your passport, your identification, but even financially. Are you prepared to travel? We hear so many stories online about people who say, oh, I didn't have a dime to my name, and someone on a movie set said that if you come, we're going to do all expenses paid. You don't have to worry about anything. But wisdom says that if you are an adult and there's not someone taking care of you, that you never want to be in a position to totally depend on another person. And so with that said, you want to make sure that you have what you need. Now, one of the things that you may need to consider is, does your cell phone work in the places that you're interested in traveling? And I'm not saying go out and buy a $2,000 phone that you can use all over the world, but you do want to consider at least beginning to save in case you are in a situation where you'll need a phone to make calls internationally, because there is a particular chip or something that you need in your phone to do that, or some people just choose to buy a phone that works internationally. The next thing that you want to do also is make sure that you have a form of payment for your little things that you may need, such as allergy medicine, etc. And what I would caution you to do is have two forms, meaning perhaps cash, and if you're traveling internationally, you can exchange it for the local cash. But you also want to have you also want to make sure that your personal bank account, if you have like a credit or debit card attached to it, that they're alerted that you're traveling, because what you don't want to happen is that you get on location and you have your credit card, but your bank sees your purchases in this other country as fraud. So that's something that you want to alert your bank to. Now, if you have a credit card, you shouldn't have an issue. But a credit card also is typically needed for things like car rentals, etc. Now, again, most of the time when you're on location, the production does provide transportation, etc., etc. But like I said, you don't want to be at complete mercy of anybody. You want to have something for yourself, and we're not expecting you to have $1 million budget, but you should be able to have at least a little something to take care of yourself. And again, this is me talking to beginning actors, but trust me, I've seen some more seasoned actors who are just not prepared with things like this. The next thing you want to think about, I know I said lastly, but this is in the group of being prepared to travel. You also want to make sure, let me stop and tell you also, with your two forms of payment, if you're thinking that your phone being able to tap is the way to go, I would make that a third form of payment. I wouldn't make that my one and two, because things can go wrong. Electronically, things can go wrong, but also fraudulently, things can go wrong. So I would definitely consider, if you're going to use your phone to tap and pay, that you make that a third option, but have two more hardcore tactical options. Now, again, in the vein of traveling, you also want to have a way to ensure that your travel documents are safe. And so especially if you're traveling internationally, you want to be able to store your documents in what they call an RFID sort of wallet, and this prevents like digital reading of your information so that your credit card numbers and things can't be stolen. So that's something to consider. And of course, you don't have to have full-blown luggage, but you should have a bag prepared that if you are called um, on set or if you're called on location, you can pack. And again, that may seem like a no-brainer, but sometimes, especially with beginning actors, um, you want to make sure that that's something that you think about. And that's what I have for today. So hopefully those things are taken into consideration by you, and I will do a part 2 of some more things that you can do to be prepared as a beginning actor. But for now, go ahead and click on the links in my description, where you will see that I have not only a free download for how to take the best headshot photographs, but I also have some other things. I have my Etsy account, and of course I'll be continuing to make great resources for actors, beginning, moderate, whatever you need. So have a great day. Bye now.